Start off with the big story of the day. While expected, I don't think a lot of people thought that the increase in the cost of fuel would be as much as what has been announced. At least this is the highest since the government assumed office of the increases that they've had. But it has also brought in question the mechanism that government has employed of reviewing the cost of fuel to effect a cost reflective system in the purchase of fuel. Do you think that in the midst of all these economic challenges that the country has been experiencing, implementing a 30-day review process was the best decision by government?
Not at all. First of all, I think it's a it's a sad day again for our country, especially that we don't have bulk reserves in this country. That's why, if you remember, the last time I was here, I was insisting on the fact that we needed to have our own strategic reserves. I think that is why we had Indeni. You know, with all intents and purposes, with all the weaknesses that would have surrounded Indeni, I think it was just good that we should have had that strategic institution available, because in times, in moments like this, it just comes in handy. Because basically now it's hand to mouth. And we have moved from 21.94 for petrol to 26.50. I think the jump is gigantic, and it simply means that in 100 kwacha you can only buy 3 liters of petrol. That is going to affect the whole economic mechanism of our country, because as you know, fuel or energy sits right at the epicenter of our economy, and so with what has happened, it means that the economy again is thrown in disarray. It's going to affect people very, very badly. You know, the cost of transport will just go up. The cost of production will also be affected. Businesses in their various forms will be affected. So it's honestly it's a big thing that has happened tonight, or this evening.
One of the arguments or principles that is being used here is that in economics, in any case, as long as a resource is moved from one end and taken to the other, then the one will suffer, because it is very difficult for both of them to function. And government's justification for removal of these subsidies was that they needed to channel resources towards the education sector. And so based on that, don't you think that this was an expectation anyway? From the moment that government made this decision, people should have braced themselves for this. And also, given the global trend of what's been happening with regards to the cost of fuel, why is this increase of any surprise?
Well, because remember, that this government has increased fuel from the time that they came into power. I think this is the 3rd increment that they have done. And within a space of 7 months, they're only going to be getting 8 months next month. Now, within 7 months, they've managed to increase fuel 3 times. And it means that the cost of living is under duress. When they came into government, the first thing that they did was they're going to remove subsidies from fuel. And the question I asked here last time was, why was government in a hurry to give the mines or to remove the mineral royalty tax? Why were they in a hurry? Because there were 2 things that the president did when he became president, which did just almost immediately. One was to remove the mineral royalty tax, and the second was to shut down Indeni. Now, I'm asking a question. Why did the president decide to give the mining conglomerates those tax holidays? What made him do that? He gave them tax holidays. Then the government went ahead and said, we are going to remove subsidies from fuel, because the subsidies we are putting here are just wasting our time. We want this money which we are putting it to go into education. That also was not true. It was not truthful. Because look, any government, the job of any government is to ameliorate the challenges of its citizens. Government must help its citizens to live a better life. In fact, if I were a president, I would have done everything within my powers to see how best we can subsidize fuel. Even now, it is not too late for this government to go ahead and find ways of subsidizing fuel.
Even if
But they
the
will
government
not.
has, even if the government has clearly stated that the reserves of the country, the economy of the country is not performing well, I don't think government even needs to say that. It's pretty evident that the performance of the economy is unimpressive. Even in the midst of these facts, you think that government should continue paying on behalf of citizens, even if we have consistently talked about how we need to get rid of this trend, even if the administration that you were a part of the Patriotic Front from 2011, attempted to do this, and it has consistently been said to be one of the best decisions we have to make for our economy to grow. All of this you still think must be thrown away, and we must continue with these subsidies.
No, look, I think it's not subsidies that you are going to keep in perpetuity. It's subsidies you are going to practice only for a certain period of time. And if you can practice it, for instance, for let's say, let's try this for the next 3 months. As you are looking at the world order to stabilize, there's nothing wrong with that. Other countries are doing it anyway. Remember when we had COVID? What do you call what Ghana did when they said they were not going to allow people to pay for electricity for a period of 1 month? Or was it 6 weeks? That government was going to pick up the bills. What is that? That's subsidy. In America today, ask the Americans themselves. Milk is heavily subsidized in America. What this government needed to do was to begin putting huge excise duty on things like alcohol, you know. Once you put 100% excise duty on that, so it becomes very expensive to bring in alcohol in the country. Then whatever you get from there, that's what covers up the issues of energy. But to just expose the country like that, I think it's not correct, because at the end of the day, the shock is huge. And I was watching Minister Kapala today. You know, he was fidgeting all over on TV, was trying to explain how he is going to, and he didn't even have energy himself, you know. And that is the energy minister, but the way he was talking, there was no energy in him.
Well, that has absolutely nothing to do with his job anyway.
No, but look, the point I'm trying to drive home, Buyoya, is that you can see that there's a problem. You can see that even the monthly reviews that they have put before us will mean every month this thing will be going up, fuel will be going up.
Except you have to qualify the fact that the last fuel adjustment was actually downwards.
But look, Buyoya, you increased by 20 kwacha. It was 20 kwacha to, was it 23? Then they brought it back to 21.96. Then again they have gone back to 26.50. Then again, next month when I come here, you tell me they have reduced because they've taken it now to 25.90. That's not reducing. In the first place, they didn't find it at 25.90, or they didn't find it at 21. They found it at 18 or 17. If you are telling me about reducing, then go back to 18, the initial figure, and then drag it down.
But are the